we haven't got a chance to talk about this, the Spence Crawford fight.
Mhm.
If you could remind me, who did you have winning coming into the fight?
I picked Spence to win
Okay.
against my better judgment, because the whole time from the first moment we talked about this fight, I was like, man, Terrence Crawford got all the tools to nullify Errol Spence. And like I told Bomac, I told Red and Crawford team just last week, I'm like, man, it got to a point where I felt like Terrence Crawford kind of plateaued with his level of competition, and I felt Errol Spence started to go up. He
Okay.
started to show us a
Okay.
little bit more tools in the toolbox. The Mikey Garcia fight, to me, I like how he boxed Mikey Garcia. He could have, out of all people, he could have just said, "I'm gonna be a freight train and run right over Mikey Garcia."
And
And
Ugas.
so and Ugas, like he did Ugas, like he fought Kell Brook, the physical fight he
Uh,
fought with Sean
uh,
Porter.
uh,
He chose to box Mikey, and then he chose to box Danny to stay away from Danny's power.
mm,
Even a 14-month layoff, the car accident, he chose to box Danny, right?
right.
He could have said, "Listen, let me stay close to him. My timing might be off. Let me just be physical with him
Hmm.
in the inside, push him off his square. Danny's flat-footed." No, he chose to box Danny. Be on the end of Danny punches is the most dangerous thing to me.
Right.
Where you don't see Danny's punches coming from a distance, that's where he's most dangerous, not on the inside.
So you had Errol because you felt like Bud had plateaued and Errol was
Yeah,
ascending.
yeah. I
Okay.
felt like the level of competition Terrence Crawford fought, he stopped showing the versatility. Right, he
Okay.
started just fighting.
Right.
Even when he fought Igis Kavalauskas,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
He
Right.
he
Right.
got he got hurt, arguably dropped, unofficially dropped in the fight. Even Andre Ward is like, man, what is this dude? What are you doing? What's the game plan?
So why did Errol Spence say that thing to you at the press conference if you were starting to choose him anyway?
Um, he, well, I had picked Errol from the last 2 years,
Yeah. So
but
why?
but Errol just felt like because once I learned what was going on with the negotiations, I can't no longer say Terrence Crawford is the reason this fight not happening.
Oh, because you were involved with BLK and
Right,
Terrence. Right.
right. And then I was privy to the negotiations.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. That's
I'm
crazy
seeing.
because I was told that Crawford was, and I don't really care about this because it's dumb, but
Mm,
just briefly, that Crawford was the one who was, kind of like, I want the coin flip. I want all this, all this, all this.
mm.
That's not true?
Yeah, yeah, no, that became true, but I think it became true based off of Crawford started to feel slighted, like they're not respecting me, what I have done. Now I want the sun, moon, and stars, or I ain't fighting, type of deal.
Okay.
And Crawford, yeah, for sure, Crawford is in negotiations. He wants the numbers don't matter to him. It's what I have done. But the
Respect.
business is basing it off of, well, your pay-per-views, your revenue
Right.
says this, and he's saying, well, I'm a 3 division champion, I'm undisputed, you
Yeah,
know what I'm
that's
saying, I'm considered the best fighter in the world. So he bases it based off of what he's done in the ring.
right. And that's not,
That's
yeah,
not how it works.
right, right. So, okay.
So
So you were saying, why did Errol say that to you?
yeah,
Why did he think that you weren't?
so then once I said, listen, you know what, I'm seeing that, they just don't, the business is, first of all, I was made privy that Showtime was going through a transition, and so the budget changed. That's why we didn't see everybody fight more than once, if they fought once,
Okay.
right? And for the negotiations for Terrence Crawford, it was no guarantee purse, so on and so forth. So there was a lot of things that I'm like, listen, okay, it's not gonna happen, but I can't put all this on Terrence Crawford. And so Errol Spence is like, bro, you switched from being on my side to your side, when no, I didn't switch from being on your side. I'm on the side of fairness and the side of boxing. This Terrence Crawford makes up for 50% of the biggest fight in boxing, in my opinion.
You know, Roy Jones told
Mm.
me that he bumped into Errol and Errol refused to shake his hand
Okay.
recently.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I guess he has that in him, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He see everything. He
Yeah.
see everything. He know everything. He watch everything, and he gonna call it how he see it. You know what I'm saying? If he
Right.
feel like you switch sides on him, he gonna let you know when he see you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you was pro me, now you pro him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Type
Yeah.
of thing. And my stance was, for one, Terrence Crawford came to us as BOK Prime.
Right.
I'm not fighting Errol Spence. What could y'all do for me? We'd be fools. He don't have a network. He don't have a promotional company. He's the best fighter in the world. We'll be fools to say, hey, no, we ain't going to be involved ourselves because you need to fight Errol Spence.
So he was referring to you guys just working with Terrence.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and, and, he felt like I just started siding with Terrence, which I didn't. I just started siding with sport of boxing and the truth. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And the
Right.
truth is, like Errol Spence came out and said, today's time. If it
Uh-huh.
wasn't for him getting on the phone with Terrence Crawford, they wouldn't be fighting. Right.
Right.
The business wasn't gonna pay for it because they didn't value Terrence Crawford.
Okay. Okay.
You see what I'm
Um.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah, I always meant to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you were going to for Spence. I assume you still thought it was going to be evenish, right?
Right. Oh yeah. I always thought it was 50-50 fight.
Me too. But
I
I was
just
leaning towards Bud, but like just a slight Fat Joe lean, just a little
right.
bit.
Right. See, I was leaning towards Errol because I thought that Terrence Crawford was gonna come in the fight and want to fight at some point and
Mm.
not box.
Mm-hmm.
I drastically underestimated that he would be the stronger guy. I didn't believe that.
Yeah.
I thought that Errol Spence would be more disciplined and fundamentally sound than he was.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? He was, better in every aspect. I didn't expect that. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So at the end of the fight,
Mm.
what were you thinking yourself when everything was said and done?
I thought, I'm like, man, I always had Terrence Crawford as the best fighter in the world. But I'm like, I completely underestimated just how much better he was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't take nothing away from Errol Spence. A lot of people say Errol Spence didn't look like himself. Errol Spence wasn't this. Errol Spence was. I don't. Errol Spence. When I look at the Ugas fight and I look at the Kell Brook fight, I see the same Errol Spence. That's post and pre car accident. I see
So
the same
so
same type of style.
you didn't see anything different because some people are bringing up, how he looked in his eyes and how his
Mm,
speech was slower. You didn't see anything off.
No, and yeah, when he was in the locker room, I said this on my live stream. When he was in the locker room, I'm like, man, he looked in the daze a little bit. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? He definitely did. You can't take that. You know what I mean? You can see
Right.
that he looked like mellow, real, very in the
Real.
daze.
Yeah. Like his eyelids were really heavy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looked very like you know, and I never saw that. You know what I mean? But
Right.
as far as when I looked at the third round, he came out super aggressive like himself. In the
And,
first round.
and can I tell you, not to cut you off, but
Uh,
when I knew the fight was over, was that third round because he came out and he threw a jab and a hard overhand left that connected, but it did
it did
nothing,
nothing. Did nothing.
nothing. And that's when I
Let,
was like, oh shit, this is not going to
mm,
be good.
let me tell you when I knew it was over.
Mm.
Before the knockdown in the second round, when he went to bully Terrence Crawford off his square,
Like
and
push
he
him
didn't
off.
even budge, and Bud
Yeah,
just pushed him back.
yeah,
He pushed him back with his arms. He didn't even lean into it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you can see Errol's face, like almost like, oh shit,
Right,
this dude is just as strong as stronger
right,
than way stronger than I thought. You can see the thoughts in his head
right, right. I mean,
when
go ahead. My bad.
yeah, when he went back, you can see the thoughts in his head, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be a long night. And then I said it on my live stream. I'm like, man, this might be a long night. And 5 seconds later, he gets dropped.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, we're in terms of if there's anything off with them, because you hear all kinds of things, weight drain, this, that, injuries. No matter what it was, he still went through with the fight, so it's on him.
Right,
If
right,
there was
right,
anything, and there could have been nothing.
right,
How do we know that Bud didn't just hit him a couple times and
right,
daze him?
right, right. And that's my whole thing. It's like I don't want to go down that lane, down that path, because it's always coulda, shoulda, woulda. Nobody's healthy going in boxing ring.
There's always a possible issue on both sides. There always
Right,
is.
right. And the thing is, we look at them sometimes as robots, and you box. So we look at from this side, It's like robots. You know, I expect Mark to look like himself every given Saturday.
Right.
Every time, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, when I see Mark, I expect you to look like yourself. You don't. I don't know if you got a 24-hour stomach bug.
Right.
I don't know if you trip down the stairs, and these are little things that we take for granted. But in ordinary life, you can go up your stairs, trip, mess up your big toe, and all of a sudden you're like, dang, I can't even walk right.
And
But because you're not competing at the highest level, you don't give it too much credence. But
right.
when I look at Mark, I can say, man, why Mark ain't moving around? Maybe you stubbed your toe going up the stairs, and I don't even know.
Right. Right. And the way I look at it is like, no matter what could have or should have been with Errol, Bud was so far ahead of him that night. So much, he was in his zone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. He was just the better fighter. And,
Right.
you know, and by the way, two things can be true.
Right.
Let's say Errol did have something slightly wrong with him or very wrong with him. That doesn't mean that by saying that it's a complete excuse and Bud didn't do what he did. Two things
Right.
can be true. Bud could have done
Right.
what he did and Errol could have had something wrong with him.
Right.
But
Exactly.
again, but it doesn't matter because, I think at the end, Errol, a lot of people say he didn't make excuses, but the one thing I kind of heard, and tell me if you agree with this, it was kind of an excuse in itself when he said, look, I agreed to this weight, no excuses. I don't have any excuses. I agreed to it. I signed up for this weight.
Right.
And I'm like, because I wasn't even thinking that it could be a weight thing until he said that.
Right. And then he said, on top of that, he said, we got to do it at 54. So it's like, it gives the indication that, you was weight drained.
Exactly. That's the indication it gives. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't, that's technically, but, for all we know, this dude's been fighting at 47 his whole career.
Right.
I hear from,
Well, he actually started it at 54.
Okay.
And then he moved up to 47. I mean, he moved down to 47 then. But the thing is like this, right, Mark, is that another thing that gets lost in translation of this weight is that we automatically attest Terrence Crawford to comfortably making 147 because he started in a lower weight class.
Exactly, which it's hard for him too.
Which is hard for him too because, like I tell people, Terrence Crawford has been in this division for 5 years and 8 fights at 35.
Yeah. I mean, they both walk around at probably over 170 pounds a piece, if not Errol, probably more. I mean,
yeah. And Terrence Crawford just said, like, what was it, a day later or so? He's like, wait, what do you weigh now? He's like 165.
168 or 170, I thought he said, maybe even.
Yeah, he said I'm in the mid 160s or something.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah.
So imagine what he is right now.
Right. So even if it was a weight issue, they all have weight issues, so it all cancels out, but Bud was, for me, the most impressive thing I saw. So we all saw the counterpunching, but the traps that I saw him set to make Errol initiate was the most impressive to me.
Super impressive. And his jab. Every time, see, Errol Spence have fell into the mode of, I fight you. When I stop, then you fight me.
Oh, right. Back forth, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Terrence Crawford took a page out of Kell Brook and Sean Porter's book. Every time he did something, Terrence Crawford reacted. He never ever was inactive. Just stood there and took something and then had wasted time and then go back. No, he reacted to everything Errol Spence did. As soon as, like we said in the second round, as soon as Errol, he stabbed Errol to the body first, and then Errol went to get him back,
and he got countered.
Immediately. Let me. You react. I'm going to react right back.
Yeah.
He made sure every mistake that Errol Spence made prior to Terrence Crawford fight, Terrence Crawford made him pay for every single mistake he made.
Everything. Even footing, everything.
anything. You
Yeah.
reach too far away, I'm gonna make you pay for it.
Yep.
If
Yep.
your foot is off, I'm gonna make. He saw everything. It was like he was fighting in the Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, he was real impressive. And do you even want to see the rematch?
Uh, I'm interested to see it, and the reason that I'm more interested than not, is because of like what we just said. When Errol said, he kind of hinted at the weight being an issue. So now I want to see them at 154.
I feel like I would give that some more credence if the fight was a little closer.
Right.
You know
And,
what I
and
mean?
that's what I said. Like it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell to the casuals. Me and you gonna watch it,
Yeah.
right? But to a casual, I had so many celebrities. They like, man, Errol need to retire.
Oh yeah, a lot of people start saying that.
Yeah, and those are the people that we need that pay. Because me and you gonna pay for it. We gonna watch it. They ain't got to worry about us. It's more casuals to the sport than hardcore.
Right.
And so it's a hard sell because, like you just said, it wasn't close.
Right. Right. And so do you think there'd be a difference at 54?
I don't. I think it'll be closer, but I don't think Errol gonna win.
Okay. So
Once you, and this is for any walk in sports, right?
okay.
Once you figure out the code, regardless of what took place, your confidence with that team or that person is just through the roof,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like when it's that far apart, like we just said. When it's
Yep.
a competitive fight, it'll still draw doubt when you go into a rematch or
Right.
anything, right? A
Right.
football game, basketball game. When it's competitive, it'll draw doubt. When you go into any type of competition and you completely whitewash them,
Mm-hmm.
and they can have the excuse, well, in NBA, our best player wasn't playing, or this play. Like, okay, to give you an example, what I'm trying to say is, remember when the Cavaliers played the Warriors in the finals,
Right.
and everybody said, well, Draymond Green getting suspended was the reason that the Cavaliers won that game or the next game. Well, when he came back, the Cavaliers won again, and now they was fully healthy, the whole
Right.
team. And the
Right.
reason being is because now I know I can beat you.
Right. 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 Yeah, man. I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, so okay. Bud is first says I'm not fighting Canelo at anything over 160.
Hmm.
Um, but a couple days later, we all saw it. I think it was on Rogan. He goes, you know what? I've been thinking about it. I love challenges. I think I want to fight Canelo at 168.
Hmm.
What do you think happens if Bud fights Canelo at 168?
I think Terrence Crawford wins.
Okay.
And check this out, right? I was the first person to tell Terrence Crawford and his team that you could beat Canelo. And they told me I went too far. Blue, you went too far. I said, no, y'all could beat, I believe he could beat Canelo. And at the same time, I was telling him, I think Errol Spence is going to win. But I told him, I think that he could beat Canelo
You see something stylistically or what?
stylistically, because I see a lot of the same traits that he had. Uh, a lot of the same traits that Floyd Mayweather gave Canelo problems with and Lara gave him problems with. Terrence Crawford has those same traits, but he
Interesting.
got more power in both hands than both of them.
Interesting.
And the reason I say that is because Canelo is going to be rendered inactive because of Terrence Crawford's long arms, his reflexes, and his power. So it's going to make Canelo a thinker, more strategic, and he'll take his time. Canelo will take his time in trying to break you down, and before you know it, he's down on the cards like Bivol fight, right?
Interesting.
Lara had him down on the cards, but Lara just started coasting and started running.
Um, you have everything you said. You have great points. My only thing I'd want to see is how much Canelo's bigger size, not height, but frame,
frame.
how much of a part that plays.
And see with that, even with that, when you see Canelo in person, I'm sure you have. When you
Yeah,
see him in person, he's not even a big guy. He just has broad shoulders.
he's a little wide, but yeah, he's
Yeah,
like 5'8" maybe.
yeah. But he's just he's like a V though,
Right, right,
right?
right.
So he's really not a very heavy guy. He's muscular and he's stocky, but it's like a V, right? So he don't really put on a lot of weight, and he has a a major problem. Is his feet are slow.
His feet are slow. Okay.
His feet are slow. And when you're dealing with a boxer like Terrence Crawford, have a 4-inch arm reach advantage, slightly taller, power in both hands, and is slick, defensively responsible, he's going to give Canelo a ton of problems to find him. Now, I think he have to, the way he fought Errol Spence, he's going to have to make a adjustment. He can't fight like that because
No.
he was stationary with Errol Spence, right?
Right.
He's going to have to move, and Terrence Crawford stays in shape. So I think that extra weight is going to give him more oxygen, more ability to move around, stay active because he has to stay active, stay alert,
Right.
you know, and he got enough power to, when Canelo jab, because Canelo will take breaks and do this and do this, that's his way of taking a break. And you catch him with the jab heavy enough, often enough, bang, bang, the fight is like Caleb Plant ran out of gas in the second half. Billy Joe Saunders started making mistakes and getting caught. But we saw that style give him a problem. And since Terrence Crawford can master that style, as long as, like you said, I'm not worried about Canelo's weight, because the weight he fights at right now probably comes in I don't think he comes in no more than 175, right? And so you got to factor in, when he fought Floyd, he was what, 167, 168.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had, because they fought at 52. Remember, Floyd was saying, "Oh, he's 20 pounds." His official weight was like, the next day was like 168, something like that.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know that they weighed him the next day.
yeah.
All
So
right.
so he had gained all that weight, and when that slows Canelo down with quicker fighters, he's not gonna be quicker. So the problem, the weight for Canelo's don't concern me. It concerns me for Crawford, and the reason it concerns me for Crawford is carrying the weight.
Right.
When he gained the weight, is
Right.
he going to suddenly start to gas in the second half, carrying all that weight and the movement?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, but okay. So let me ask you this: What
Mm,
if? And I want to get into that in a little bit, the Charlo
mm,
Canelo. But let's say he fights Charlo,
mm-hmm,
Bud.
mm-hmm.
How do you see that going?
Charlo at 168 is going to be more of a problem for him than Charlo at 154.
And it will be 168 because they're fighting. Well, actually, not
Well,
necessarily.
if Charlo beats Canelo, first of all, if Charlo beats Canelo,
You got
I
both.
don't see him fighting either one of them, because it's going to be a rematch clause. I don't see Canelo walking away from that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just can't see him, like, Canelo just gonna fight Charlo win, and then he's just
That's
gonna let him
right.
walk off in the sunset in his
That's right.
division,
That's a
and
good
he's the
point.
undisputed champ. No, he's gonna have to run that back in May.
Right. But let's just say, do you see Charlo beating Bud?
Um, I think that it's a tougher fight for Terrence Crawford to beat Charlo at 68 than it would be for him to beat him at 54.
Why?
Because I think Jamel is gonna come in, and we're gonna see this with Canelo, and that's why I say I give Jamel a good chance, because his frame, he's such a big guy that he's probably gonna be 185 the night of the fight. And
Okay.
to move him around for Canelo uh, uh, um and Terrence Crawford to hurt him, at that weight, is gonna be a problem. And he got a good jab. They just got to make him make mistakes. He'll make mistakes. He'll square up. When he fought Castano, I rewatched that fight a few times now. He squared up and just was like, and I'm like, I was super confused. What in the hell was that we just
Right.
watched? And
Right.
Castano caught him and made him pay in between that, right? And Castano is shorter than he has shorter arm reach and shorter than both Canelo and Terence Crawford.
Right. Right.
But he made him pay. And at first, my first couple of times watching it, my assessment was, well, the way Argentinian fighters fight in their style is very awkward when they cut off the ring, like Madonna. They cut
Right.
off the ring, and it's very hard to stay away from them, right? But then when I rewatched it, I'm like, well, it's not so much of his footwork; it was what Charlo was not doing correctly. Backing straight up, squared, and got caught. Bang!
Right.
On the ropes, he squared up and tried to throw two hooks, a left and a right. Got caught in between. Bang! But the left still connected on Castano. You know what I mean? Because Castano stays and waits for the receipts.
Right. Yeah, he does.
Canelo is not going to wait for the receipts,
No.
and Terence Crawford ain't going to wait for the receipts. But he's such a big guy, Charlo. If he is able to clean up those acts, I don't think either one of them beats him.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So
if he's 6 feet tall,
yeah.
he gonna be 100. He gonna be damn near a cruiserweight. They gonna be fighting.
Huh.
You ever seen? Did he the same size as damn near as Andre Ward?
Yeah, he was about. I saw him at the press. He's about my height. Looked about 5'11", 6.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just shocking because we're talking about the junior middleweight undisputed champion, 154, being so much bigger. I mean, that can't be good on his body, fluctuating that much weight.
And
right?
see, that's the thing. I don't think he's ever going back down to 54.
Yeah, he said he would, but you're right.
Yeah, he said he was, but I'm just hard pressed to see that. I just, like you just said, for his frame, once you give your body that relief, I just can't see it allowing you to do it comfortably. It's one thing when you keep your body in that state and control it for a long period of time. Once you let it go to where it naturally wants to go, it's impossible. It's impossible to bring it back.
True. Well, then, how do you see Canelo versus Charlo going?
I see it 50-50. I'm still torn, right?
Okay.
But I haven't really truly made a decision who I think is going to win. I'm still at the state where I'm going off of what I think both fighters should and shouldn't do to be successful.
Okay.
And if Jamel can use his jab and control the distance and stop dictating where his head is going to be, he has a issue with tipping off where he's going to put his head. He tilts his head and then goes that way. He'll tilt his head this way and then go that way.
Huh.
Right? He'll tilt his head. You can tell when he wanted to throw his jab. Those things you absolutely cannot do with Canelo. He is a true student of boxing.
Right. Or Bud.
Yeah, or Terence Crawford. Canelo Alvarez is going to see each and every, like Terence Crawford did with Errol Spence. Every time you make a mistake, he's going to make you pay. The thing with Canelo is just physical limitations. Like when he fought against Dimitri Bivol, his feet didn't let him stay in front of Bivol or get away from him like he wanted to. His lack of height and size didn't allow him to, Bivol is such a, I think they underestimated Bivol's ring IQ.
Didn't Canelo just say he had something wrong with him that fight?
Yeah, he said that it was his hand was broken and now he's healthy. He even said that that was the same thing for the John Ryder fight.
I wouldn't be surprised. See, these are things like, yeah, maybe it's bullshit, but maybe it's not. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. He said for Jamel Charlo, you ain't gonna see the same guy that fought Bivol, Triple G, and John Ryder.
Right.
And
well, shit.
and who can, we can't say if it's true or not, like you said, because this dude is a gym rat. So he probably did hurt himself. He in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
Canelo is never out of shape.
No.
Ever.
No. And he might have he might be on the decline a little bit. He's been pro since he's 15, but it's hard to tell. Is he on just the decline because of he has a lot of mileage?
Yeah,
Or
and don't forget he had that knee injury.
right, right, right. I
He
mean,
already didn't have fast feet. Now you got a knee injury on top of it.
slower feet. Yeah, it's real interesting. Right now with all these guys. So, because I'm thinking to myself, if Spence doesn't rematch Bud, and you might know about this, isn't there like a certain amount of time they have to trigger the rematch? And is it almost
Uh,
here?
yeah. What's the day?
28th.
Yeah, tomorrow's the day.
Okay. So, and I initially, by the way, thought there might be something wrong with Spence neurologically or whatever. And, but, obviously that's just speculation. I don't know. But let's say they don't fight for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Canelo and Charlo are going to probably be tied up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Who does Crawford fight if he can't fight any of those three?
I think that he should fight Keith Thurman.
I've heard that. Why? Because he said who I think he should fight is Boots, but he made it clear he doesn't want to do that.
Right. And let me say this. I think he should. I want to see him fight Boots, but I think he should fight Keith Thurman.
Because what?
I want to see Jaron Ennis get his opportunity, and I want to see that fight from a hardcore standpoint. Competitive wise, I think that would be a better fight. I think that he should go the route of Keith Thurman for the momentum to sell the fight. Keith Thurman is just a bigger draw than Jaron Ennis, unfortunately, right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Keith Thurman is going to sell a fight. Dude, Boots is not a big talker.
No.
Bosey's not a big talker. They talk what they do in the ring.
Thurman.
Boots will tell you, he'll throw little things here and there, but that's just not who he is, right? He's almost like Andre Ward. Tank is the same way. Tank is not a big talker.
No,
right?
he's not. You're right.
No, he's not. He's just that's why Floyd always talk for him. Leonard does all the talking.
Tank had that Mike Tyson thing where the veracity in the ring did all the talking.
It does all the talking.
Yeah.
Tank don't talk much. He'll talk at the press conference if you get him at the press conference.
You annoy him enough.
Yeah, you annoy him enough. But he in between that, he ain't going. You can interview him. He'll just be like, yeah, whatever, because he's so. It's like, bro, yeah, all right. When I put these hands on you, knock you out. We'll see then.
Right.
Boots is the same way. Like, we'll see. We gonna see when we get in there. Keith Thurman is gonna tell you about the sun, moon, stars, and this is why you ever seen this car against this car, and this, he just gets you. He's like Rolly, but he's like Rolly that could actually back it up, right? So he's more skilled than Rolly, so it's more believable coming from Keith Thurman,
right? And I think Thurman's inactivity is to his benefit. I feel like when you're at that stage in your career, any time off heals your body. I think it's good. Less damage. I think it's a good thing that he took this time off.
Now I'm the opposite. And the reason I'm the opposite is because I understand what you're saying as far as healing the body, but he's a timing fighter. He's a rhythm fighter. And if you're not fighting to keep that rhythm, once you lose it, you don't use it, you lose it.
I guess everybody's different. For me, it was never like that. Like for me, it was like riding a bike. It's always there. Like you don't need much time to get it back. Maybe you're right. It all depends on the person, I guess.
It's like Floyd. Like some people are special, and you could be one of those people. Some people just like you said, they snap back. You know what I mean? But with Keith, we've seen he take time off, then he fight guys like Josito Lopez. They're not bad fighters, or Barrios, and his timing is off. He get hit, he get hurt to the body. You know what I'm saying? Even the Pacquiao fight, bad judging the distance. You know what I'm saying? Pulling straight back, getting caught. That's why he got dropped by Pacquiao. You know what I mean? Those little things that certain fighters can take that time off, come back, and it don't bother them. Some other fighters take that time off and it bothers them. And I think that Keith is somebody that bothers him. Like Terrence Crawford takes the time off, it didn't bother him.
Right.
You know what I mean? People say when Errol Spence time was a factor. He said, my rhythm was off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like some people it don't affect, some people it does. And so when it comes to Keith Thurman, I see that it affects him.
Right. Right.
Even when
Yeah.
he, if you look at the Barrios fight, he was there was times where we ain't never see Keith Thurman was leaving his feet for punches and all types of stuff, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I mean, I watched Keith Thurman arguably be at one point in time he was the best welterweight in the world.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah, and he was his fundamental. Even when he fought Sean Porter, he Sean Porter pressure never broke his fundamentals. Then you watch him fight Josito Lopez and Barrios, and it's like, bro is leaving his feet. He's swinging wild, missing punch because that it's just the rhythm is off. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And so, but as far as Keith Thurman selling the fight for Terrence Crawford to keep the momentum that Terrence Crawford has right now going, you see what I'm saying? To keep that momentum going, and then another thing was when Steven Espinosa said, when as far as the sales, the money he's going
Yeah.
to be looking for now moving forward, Boots fight is not going to demand that.
No.
It's not going to. It's not going to. You know. It's not going to justify them paying him
Yeah.
$20 million to fight Boots.
Very few fighters will justify that now,
Right.
unfortunately.
Now Keith Thurman may not justify 20 million, but it'll sell enough to where you can at least recoup. You understand what I'm saying? If Errol and Terrence only did 600 to 700,000, Boots and Terrence Crawford is not going to do it. It's just
Right.
not going to do it. You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.